Hey, it's Gedalia with Closer to the Soul. Not live right now because Facebook, for some reason, is not allowing it. But I'm recording this session and then I'm going to upload it. So, just so you know, that's what's happening right now. Okay, I would like to talk a little bit, about really, it's a mitzvah from last week's Parsha of Loy Sachmoid, not to covet, not to desire or want things that belong to other people. The reason I'm talking about it this week is I happened to see in the Seforno, he mentions in this week's parsha, which is Parshas Mishpatim, that all of the laws in this parsha are really now we're learning what determines ownership, when something becomes the possession of a person. So then we could also apply what we learned last week from not to covet. We'll know exactly what defines possession and know what we're not allowed to want to desire, to want to have in our hearts because they belong to another person. Short little insight there. Um, the main thing I want to talk about is this mitzvah of not coveting, not wanting something that belongs to another person. And the question that's asked and that we all probably have is, how is it possible to prevent a person from wanting something inside of their heart? I understand that you're not allowed to steal it, they're not allowed to do anything, actually do an act that would be forbidden. But how can I be commanded not to want something? Especially if I see something I like, it's just a natural thing that I would like to have it. Okay, I can't, but the fact that I want it seems to be a very difficult um, commandment and very hard to live up to such a thing. And a lot of the commentators and Rishonim, early rabbis, asked this question. And I'd like to go into the words of Evan Ezer, who talks a lot about this, and he says some very interesting things. And also to add a few insights of my own. So the first thing he says there is that he asks, how can it be possible we can't want something? Since it's human nature. But he brings an example. He says, let's say you have a simple villager, a poor man, who sees the daughter of the king, the princess. He is so far removed from imagining that he could be the son-in-law of the king that it's something that is not even going to affect him in his heart. Oh, I would like to marry that princess. It's something so removed from him that it's not even going to come to mind. Or a person, let's say, that decides, oh, I see a bird, I'd like to have wings, sprout wings and fly. It's not something that is possible. So it's not going to come into a person's heart. He does mention, however, that, and it's very prevalent nowadays because we're such dreamers and we fantasize so much in all the movies and things we see, sprouting wings and flying to some people may be something of a possibility. And I do have a song, If I Were Superman, myself, that I dreamed about flying when I was a kid. But we're not talking about people that have wild imaginations. We're talking about a person that is straight thinking and that is in touch with reality, understands what's his and what he could have and what he can't have. Certain things have just removed from his thinking. And the Evan Ezer says there that when the Torah says, when Hashem tells us this is something that does not belong to you, cannot have it, it should be even more so removed from a person's desire that even if they would see it, it's like seeing that princess to the poor man, or looking at a bird and thinking, oh, I'd like to do that also. It's completely removed from the person. So from here we see that it's possible to understand how certain things can be removed from a person's desires because he knows them to be completely unattainable. And the mitzvah from the Torah is that we're supposed to get ourselves to the point to where when we see something that we like, it does not affect us in our desires to even consider, even before considering, we're talking about, to even have a rise up within us a wanting of that thing, because it's so far removed from us that it's not going to even affect us. This is really what the Torah wants from us. How we achieve it, that's a whole other story. Maybe we'll speak a little bit about it today, but I'm just going according to the words of the Even Ezra right now to at least give over that. So we see it is possible to have it removed from our minds. Now, what is the type of thinking that a person really should have? What is Torah thinking that a person should have in order that he should not have these types of feelings arise within him? So the Even Ezra says a few interesting points. He says like this. He starts with bringing a verse from the book of Koheles, from King Solomon, that says, a man can work hard to acquire wisdom and property, and then it is given over to another person who did not toil at all for it. And this verse is coming to teach that all of our efforts and hard work for anything is not what brings something into our possession. Right? Like it says also in the Talmud that children, to have children, or to have make a good living, to have good health, which we should all have, Be'ez Hashem, are not things that our efforts can bring. These are things that are completely only up to Hashem, what He brings into our lives. So really, when we see something that belongs to another person, we should realize right off the bat that this is not something that Hashem gave to me. And there's nothing I could do to ever get it. Right? There's nothing that Hashem does not want me to have, am I able to have. And stealing also is not the way to truly have something. If you even speak with someone that has stolen, and I visited a prison once, I spoke about that, where people that have actually stolen confided in me and said they had not a moment's rest or peace of mind after they did the act of stealing, and they weren't able to ever enjoy any of the things they stole. So stealing is not a way to have something rightly and to enjoy it. And I think any person that thinks about it would recognize that that's true. When the Torah tells us not to steal, Hashem is telling us, giving us advice on what's not going to bring us happiness. So we brought the verse by King Solomon, and that no matter how hard a person works, it's not possible to have something. So any person, he goes on to say, a person with intelligence will know right off the bat not to allow himself to start to want something that's not his, because he knows it's not within his power to acquire it. His own strength and wisdom can't do anything to get it. Right? Everything is only up to Hashem. Then when the Torah forbids us now, let's say from marrying a person that's already married, it's, in a sense, really, it's even further removed than a poor person looking at the princess and thinking that, oh, she could be mine one day. He doesn't do that because he sees it's not really, doesn't make sense for him, and it's not even something that comes in his mind. When the Torah tells us this is not for you, so it should even be more of an indication that this is not for me. This is something that I'm for sure not going to have any access to, and should not put any of my thoughts and effort, because it's a complete waste of time. Right? We care about time. Trying to hope for things that are not for us is not a good use of time. A person should be happy with what he has. When a person is happy with what he has, it's such a big blessing for the person. And also, It's very satisfying because the person knows, hey, this is what Hashem has truly given me to use and to be successful with. And now I don't have to look around. I don't have to try to find something because I have it right here, right in front of me. You know, just as a side point, it's many times we don't look at what we have. We look at what other people have. We look at what we want. We don't stop to just take notice of what it is that we truly have, what Hashem has truly given us. Because what we truly have, it's ours for good. In fact, it's ours forever. When Hashem gives something, it's forever. In fact, in the Sefer Hachinuch, when he explains the mitzvahs of inheritance, part of the whole reason of inheriting from other people is also because when Hashem gives something to someone, it's forever. And even when they pass on, it goes down to their kids. It stays with that person and with their progeny in forever and ever. Okay, that's the Even Ezra that I wanted to speak about. I had another little insight I just want to mention also. You see from this mitzvah, it's very interesting. Not to desire something. We see such a matter of faith here, something that's really can strengthen one's faith. Because who can give a commandment? Who could make a rule about something that no one can see? It's going on inside of us. No one knows if you're desiring something or not. So from here we see very clearly, and it's one of the Yud Gimel Ikrim of Amunah, one of the principles when we say in the Ani Ma'amins, that I know that Hashem knows the hearts and thoughts of all people. Hashem sees inside of us. He knows how much we're trying to not want things that don't belong to us. And it should bring us closer to recognizing the power of Hashem, the greatness of Hashem, and how all-seeing, how He knows everything that's going on all of the time. Okay, I'm going to end here. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate. You can send me an email, gedaliamusic@gmail.com. Send me a message on Facebook. And any questions. You should have a wonderful week and a good Shabbos coming up. And I'm happy that I was able to come back and give a little bit of insight today. All the best.